chaos in Canada. 2 attacks being called acts of terror there after a police officer is stabbed and a group of people are run over by a van.
O.J. Simpson has just been released from prison in Nevada just after midnight local time.
People are going to now be staking out pretty much the entire state of Nevada to see where O.J. goes.
A tense situation unfolding in Puerto Rico, and it's growing more dire by the minute.
The big problem is still power. Only 5% of the grid is back online.
All eyes are turning to the NFL today as more national anthem protests are expected to come game time.
It's political correctness gone amok in the NFL, and the fans are sick of it, and they're proving it by walking with their feet away from the NFL and from football.
President Trump has been rolling out the plans for tax reform this week.
I think it's important for Democrats and Republicans to come to the table. This is about putting money back into the people's hands. The economy is not going to take off by the government taking our money.
This is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to pass tax reform and to restore our jobs, our wealth, and our great American dream.
Good Sunday morning. You're watching Fox and Friends. We want to get right to a Fox News alert. O.J. Simpson is officially a free man.
70-year-old released on parole overnight in Nevada after spending 9 years in prison for a botched armed robbery.
Our own Adam Housley is live in Las Vegas with the latest. Good morning, Adam.
Good morning, guys. Yeah, it's hard to believe it's been 9 years that he was in jail. We were here for that trial, of course. Every time O.J. does anything of the sort, there's always a very large media contingent around him, and you can bet right now there's a massive contingent here in the state of Nevada. In fact, we were told by state officials a couple of days ago that they had people in here from all over the world, not only the national media here in the U.S., but paparazzi from the U.S., paparazzi from outside the country who've come in, all trying to get the picture of O.J. Simpson. What we do know is this: we have some video from the state of Nevada given it to us by the Department of Corrections about 5 hours ago, 12:08 a.m. local time, just minutes after he was first eligible to walk out of a Nevada prison. O.J. Simpson did so. The 6-second video basically shows him sitting there wearing a jean jacket, jeans and white tennis shoes, baseball hat, signs the papers. We're told gets into an SUV that wasn't a Bronco, driven by one person. They weren't sure if someone else was inside. We have been told that his friend was inside. His friend tells us that. And they drove off. This happened in Lovelock, about 90 miles east of Reno, maybe an hour and a half drive or so in the middle of the night. We're told that by his friend, Tom Scotto, that he tweeted us and sent us a text message as well, saying that the juice is loose, which of course is the well overused already term at this time of the morning. We also know this: the Department of Corrections spokeswoman says she told O.J. Simpson upon release, don't come back, and O.J. says, I don't intend to. That's something they do tell a lot of the inmates when they leave, is that they don't want people to come back. They want to reintegrate into society. So the belief is that O.J. will reintegrate here in Las Vegas. That is at least the belief at this hour, eventually going back to Florida at some point. There has been some speculation now by some of his very close friends who stayed in close touch with O.J. and his attorney that there may even be a press conference here at some point, that O.J. might come here, clean up a bit, shower up, change his clothes, do a few things, and have a press conference with his attorney to let everybody know what his plans are. You know, you never know with O.J., guys. So we're here like everybody else. And that first picture, by the way, whoever gets it, we're told the going rate right now is at least $20,000. Wow.
Back to you guys. Understatement of the decade. You never know with O.J. That's absolutely true.
Adam, thank you so much.
Adam.
All right, we've got a big guest we want to bring in now. Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi. As you just heard there from Adam, Pam, you never know what's going to happen with O.J. Simpson taking a lot of us by surprise, being released overnight. We thought maybe it would be a few days, maybe a week from now. You are fired up about this in Florida. That's where he wants to go. You say he's not welcome here.
Abby, he's not. And, you know, we have, I've handled parole hearings my entire career as a prosecutor, and I went back and watched his parole hearing with the commissioners. I have never seen such lack of remorse in my entire career. I've handled countless parole hearings. And for this guy to want to come to Florida, and basically, you know, his buddy who he wants to live with, Tom Scotto, is still tweeting jokes about the juices on the loose. I don't find that humorous at all. He was found civilly liable. I know he wasn't convicted. He owes the Goldmans $33 million. He hasn't paid a penny of it. We know that Susan Jackson in the parole hearing, the parole commissioner, told him to get alcohol treatment because he said he was drunk when he committed the armed robberies. He did not follow through on that. We've gone back, we've listened to that entire hearing, his laughing during the hearing, and we've also looked at his other than his just complete lack of remorse, he wants to come to Florida and golf all over our state, and I don't want that to happen.
Attorney General Bondi, you wrote a letter with regard to what you just said, asking that he not be allowed in the state of Florida. On this show, Fox and Friends, we talk a lot about the rule of law, so I want to be very consistent on this, okay?
Yes.
What in the rule of law do you think supports your position on this? Because a number of commentators don't support your position.
Well, and and that's why I did put it in the alternative. If they find he can live here, I want restrictions placed on him. I made that very clear. But we don't have all the record yet. For instance, we get a look at his entire Department of Corrections file. And the only way Florida now knows that he didn't complete his alcohol treatment was because the commissioner mentioned it at the hearing. So from doing parole hearings my entire career, we get a look. DOC will get to look at that file. We'll get to see his disciplinary actions. We'll get to see if they're extenuating factors. We all know he lied to those commissioners in that hearing when he said that he has had no violent acts. He's lived a conflict-free life. He's a peaceful person. I don't think anybody in the world knows that's true. Listen to Nicole Brown Simpson's 911 call weeks before the murder. Look at all the domestic violence. I mean, I could go on and on and on. Things that are well documented. So we may have to take him, though. We might. There is no right to take him, but under the criteria and the hook he's using is that he has family living here. And it's a shame, frankly, because his children, I think, have led really good lives. They've chosen to live under anonymity, and now he's going to bring them to the forefront of this if he comes to our state. But if he is allowed to come, that's when we get to go through his file. That's when we say, you're not going to report in by mail, O.J. Simpson. You're going to have travel restrictions. You're going to get alcohol tested. You are not going to be allowed to drink in our state. And those are things that we're all going to be able to enforce. And by the way, Nevada made our state think, our Department of Corrections think, that this man was not being released until next week. So therefore, we have not seen any travel plans from him. So if they're trying to pull something fast on Florida, it's not going to work in my state.
Well, Pam, he'll end up likely either in Nevada or Florida, but our own Adam Housley's reporting that the first photo of O.J. Simpson may be worth upwards of $20,000. What does that say to you about how the public views O.J. Simpson vis-a-vis how you may view him?
You know what? Public, if you see him in Florida, take some pictures. Send him in. Send him in so we can see what he's doing. If you see him drinking alcohol, whatever you see him doing. And I saw one of his former defense attorneys warn him of that. Social media is everywhere now. So if he's going to act up, we're going to find him in Florida.
Well, and he may be joining social media himself, Pam. I mean, he says he wants to enjoy the simplicities of life. He wants to enjoy seafood and steak, and he wants to get an iPhone because he's been in prison the whole time before the iPhone was even invented or brought into our lives. So maybe we'll see him on Twitter.
And you know what, Abby? I think he wants the limelight. I think he will. I don't think the man can help himself, and I think that's what's ultimately going to get him back in trouble. Do we want anyone to fail? No. But do we want someone with such a violent past in our state? No. If we have to accept him, we're going to put some tough conditions on him.
All right.
Very interesting.
Well, you heard it there. Attorney General in Florida, Pam Bondi. Great to have you on this morning. We'll see what happens.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. He was fired up.
It's so interesting because he's right. The legal recourses are limited. Ultimately, if the Nevada Parole Board allows him to move there, it's going to happen. But then there's the sort of social pressures and other things you could do to make his life more difficult.
Pretty miserable.
And that's a really interesting point about social media, because when he went in 9 years ago, I mean, let's face it, social media wasn't anything like it is today.
Sad thing is he's probably going to have a ton of followers on Twitter if he does join social media.
The fastest Twitter following of all time.
All right, we have David Bossie joining us in a few minutes, so we definitely want to get his take on all of this. But I want to bring you some other headlines we're following, starting with a Fox News alert and terror in Canada. We are getting our first look now at the ISIS flag found in the suspect's car after police say he viciously attacked an officer, then mowed innocent people down with a U-Haul. Police say the 30-year-old man rammed his car into a cruiser outside an Edmonton football game, sending the officer flying 15 feet into the air. The suspect then stabbing the officer several times and running off. Later, police say they saw the man in a U-Haul at a checkpoint.
The U-Haul truck immediately fled the scene and was pursued by police officers towards downtown Edmonton. Throughout the chase, the truck deliberately attempted to hit pedestrians in crosswalks.
The U-Haul hit 4 people before flipping over. That's when police caught the suspect. Police still think that this man acted alone.
A lot of details still to come in this. Looks like good police work, but also al-Baghdadi put out he wants to see attacks in the next week or so. Could be something.
That's a great point. Well, rock star Marilyn Manson rushed to the hospital after being crushed by a stage prop right in the middle of a concert. Wow, Manson seen climbing onto the prop during the New York City show when it started to give way, falling right on top of him. The concert, as you can imagine, was cut short. The singer's rep says he was injured, but sources tell Variety he should be okay. No word on whether any upcoming shows will be canceled.
Got to tie those guns down.
And a missing nanny found dead, and now the search is on for who is responsible. At this hour, police in Florida looking for this man, 53-year-old Scott Nelson, in connection to Jennifer Fulford's disappearance. Nelson caught on surveillance camera using Fulford's ATM card. Fulford's husband says her boss first called police when he didn't pick up his son from school on Wednesday. We'll keep an eye on that story. And the oldest living World War II veteran is sharing his secret to living a long life. I love these stories. 111-year-old Richard Overton saying the key is a daily dose of whiskey.
Yes.
Pete, are you listening?
100%.
And cigars.
100%.
But he still needs everyday help. He says his GoFundMe page is just $2,000 shy of reaching its goal. The donations will provide the Texas native 24-hour care inside of his home, keeping him out of an assisted living facility. I love that story.
Giving the hopes of long life to every veteran.
Cigars and whiskey.
I guarantee with our Fox and Friends viewers are amazing. I guarantee that guy reaches his goal by the end of the show.
They're going to be telling their wives today, hey, you want me to live a longer life? Give me that whiskey. Let me have a cigar.
They'll probably be taking it away then. All right, coming up, they are a vicious gang made up mostly of illegal immigrants. And now there's one surefire way to spot an MS-13 member. Here's a hint. Look down at the ground.
And don't go anywhere. Former Trump deputy campaign manager David Bossie, who's always fired up. We love having him on the show. He's joining us up live next.
The mayor of San Juan firing back after President Trump blasts her poor leadership in the face of disaster there.
Maybe he's used to women who have to be told what to do. You know, that's not who we are here in San Juan. I think the president needs to get the information that he needs to get. And apparently he hasn't been getting it, or he hasn't been watching the news.
All right, so all of this, as FEMA tells Fox and Friends, tells us this morning that this same mayor has not even pitched in with relief efforts at their joint field office. Take a listen to this.
The mayor of San Juan has not participated substantially in any efforts at the joint field office. Other mayors have been participating. They're connected to us either by satellite phone in far-off areas all around Puerto Rico, as well as being on site. And again, this is in San Juan where this joint field office is. To the extent that she or any other mayor wants to provide input in the process, we not only welcome her, but we expect that kind of guidance. We certainly, me sitting here in Washington, 1,500 miles away from the island, I can't tell you what exactly is going on in San Juan, but she certainly can, and our planners on the ground need her input.
A lot to unpack there. Here to do it, former deputy campaign manager for President Trump and Fox News contributor David Bossie. Mr. Bossie, good to see you as always here on a Sunday morning. First, let's start with sexism. How do you respond to those comments from the San Juan mayor?
Well, I find it, quite frankly, a little outrageous. The president and his team, led by Tom Bossert and Brock Long, the FEMA administrator, have done an amazing job, not just with trying to get their arms around Puerto Rico, but what happened in Texas and Louisiana and Florida. They've had high marks across the board from Republicans and Democrats alike in states across the south of this country like never seen before. 3 major catastrophic hurricanes hitting in less than 3 weeks. And it has been an overwhelming response by them. And so when you see one person who is not participating in the chain of command, who has decided to not go down to the Joint Field Office, to not participate with FEMA administrators who are on the ground, the Army Corps of Engineers who are on the ground, trying to do the best for her people. And you even have the governors of these islands saying that our response is unbelievable. Now, I don't discount. I served in the fire service for a long time. I know what first responders go through. I understand the needs of these folks and the heart-wrenching emotions that they're going through. The government, the Trump administration is doing everything they can to try and alleviate these people's suffering, but they need a little bit of help from the local communities. That's what this is all about. It has to be a team effort, not somebody just taking pot shots.
The mayor of San Juan has had time to get a hat and a T-shirt made that said SOS and we're dying here. She's appeared on every single network possible, yet the field office is in San Juan for FEMA, and she hasn't been to a meeting. How can this be, and how can she stand up and say we're doing everything if she's not even participating?
How do you have any credibility at that point, David?
You really don't, and I'm just gonna advise her for a moment. Put down the microphone and start helping your people. Get into the FEMA headquarters, get into the Joint Task Force headquarters, and start pushing materials down through the system. That's what's required by every mayor, whether you're a mayor in Florida or in Texas. That's what they did. They communicated with the national organization that was coming in, federal and private, I might add, like Samaritan's Purse, who have done an amazing job in all of these places, and they put it down to the lowest level to figure out who in their neighborhoods, who in their communities need it the most. For San Juan, obviously the largest city, to have a mayor that is this out of touch, it's really unfortunate for the people of San Juan. And I will just add, Puerto Rico doesn't have any power to speak of, so no one in Puerto Rico understands anything that is going on because they don't have power for their iPhones and for their computers and for their television sets. So this is all going to play out in the weeks to come if she doesn't get her act together.
Well, we will see. It is a sad, sad situation that's going on down there. David Bossie, great to have you on this morning.
Thank you, David.
Thanks for having me.
Well, a Marine Corps veteran forced into the fight of his life after being told he only had months to live. Well, 3 years later, he and his wife are speaking out against a controversial medical option that some veterans like him are being offered.
And did you know, Abby and Pete, that hard work is racist? Yep, that's what that professor on your screen right there is teaching your kids. We are not kidding. We will discuss it when we return. And 24 minutes after the hour now, and some quick headlines and a Fox News alert. Dozens of people injured in a violent showdown between voters and police as a Spanish region fights to break away from the country. Millions of people in Catalonia have been voting in the referendum in defiance of the Spanish government, which had pledged to stop the poll after the country's constitutional court declared it to be illegal. And the Trump administration confirms it is in direct contact with North Korea. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson making the comments while working overseas in China to de-escalate tensions with the rogue nation. Tillerson is in Beijing laying the groundwork for President Trump's November visit. Pete, over to you.
Thanks, Todd. Well, in a heartfelt op-ed on FoxNews.com, Marine Corps veteran J.J. Hansen explains why he was thankful that assisted suicide wasn't an option when he was diagnosed with an inoperable brain tumor 3 years ago. Now the president of the Patients' Rights Action Fund and outspoken critic of assisted suicide legislation, J.J. and his wife, Kristen, join us live this morning. Complicated situation here, and we already have an epidemic and problem of veteran suicide in this country. But in your particular case, you were a Marine Corps infantry officer, served overseas in Ramadi. We were just talking about it in Iraq. You saw combat over there. Then you were diagnosed with an inoperable brain tumor. You thought you only had 3 months to live, and you were given the option to take your own life. Tell me about that situation.
Thank you so much. Really, I had a rare form of brain cancer in the left part of the brain. And when I was told I had 4 months left to live, and not only was I once by one particular doctor, I was told 2 doctors on 3 separate doctors where we had different problems, that this wasn't going to be correct. And I found out that over time that we would have issues that we would know about the brain.
And how about you on this calculus? So you were given the option, because in Oregon and Washington at this point, assisted suicide is legal, and you can get the option to get pills effectively that you take yourself to end your own life.
So JJ had a grand mal seizure in May of 2014, and it took him to the hospital. And that's when we found out that he had terminal brain cancer, and he was told that he had 4 months left to live and he should go home and enjoy the time he had left with his family. 3 different doctors told him that there was nothing that they could do. We were in Florida at the time, and then we moved back home to New York. And in both states, assisted suicide was not legal. And we're thankful. That's why we were moved to share our story, because it was not an easy road for us to travel this journey 3 years later.
3 years later, after being told you only have 4 months.
Right.
But you feel like you're raising awareness about this, because there may be other civilians, but also veterans who have seen and experienced things, who might be tempted to take their own life when they learn about something like this.
Correct. One of the issue of assisted suicide, when I found out about that particular issue, is when I learned about it. And that was probably the 5th month of when I was going through my brain problem. Initially, I was fighting. I was motivated. I was going to be have a lot of energy to fight cancer.
Yeah.
But then when I got to the 5th month, I said, wow, I was depressed. I was angry. I was upset. I was upset with my family. And then I said, do I just want to potentially end my life? Do I want to give this up? And I thought about this issue of assisted suicide. I knew that those particular pills, that by their law, the way that they have it in the states that they're trying to motivate this, is those pills are going to be right in front of me. They're going to be right next to me, and I could take those pills, put them into my stomach, and end my life. So in my particular case, I thought about that for 2 days. 2 days I thought about that.
With the assistance, effectively, of your government, of enabling you to do that if you want to. Where can folks get more information about what you're doing on patients' rights?
They can go to patientsrightsaction.org to get helpful information, videos. You can also visit the National Alliance Against Legalizing Assisted Suicide.
And so you're leading this effort. How many states right now have tried to pass legalized?
So there's been an onslaught of bills in 2017, and so far 23 states have rejected those bills, and we're thankful.
Absolutely, as are we. J.J. Hansen and his wife, Kristen, thank you for joining us, and thank you for your service to our country.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, one bar won't be showing any NFL game today, transitioning over to the NFL, but they will still be using barrels outside to burn your jersey if you want to. That's next. And we're making the start of Breast Cancer Awareness Month an amazing event out on the plaza. Free haircuts if you donate your hair to the cause. Meet some of the brave women battling the disease and find out how you can get involved. It's your shot of the morning. You can read what that barrel says. It's in just a few hours, patrons could be throwing their NFL jerseys in this barrel. It's outside a bar in Kentucky in order to set them on fire.
Yeah, bar owner there in northern Kentucky creating the event, of course, in protest of the national anthem controversy.
It seems to be the mentality of not only myself, but of this country, that we've been taught since we were children. You stand, put your hand on your heart during the national anthem, and the only time you kneel is during prayer.
And get this, the owner says people from all around the country are planning to show up, some even mailing their jerseys to be burned.
It's so interesting. In the past, you've seen it, individual teams reacting to a player action. You burn one jersey. This is any jersey across the NFL in a sort of a patriotic protest that it's not okay.
And we've spoken to people out there, stadiums, they are fired up about this, and rightly so.
Yep.
All eyes turning to the NFL today as more national anthem protests are expected come game time.
Tensions between the NFL, fans, and even our own president continue to rise as players keep taking a knee on the sidelines.
Griff Jenkins joins us live from M&T Stadium in Baltimore with the very latest. Griff, good morning to you.
Good morning, guys. It is the birthplace of the national anthem here in Baltimore, and I'm with two season ticket holders, Scott Hurst and Bill Martin and his daughter Hayden. Guys, of course, the Steelers have said that they're going to stand. The Ravens, we don't know. You're Ravens guys. Bill, how do you feel about this today?
Well, I tell you, I hope everybody gets along today and we enjoy a great football game. We're big Raven fans. We're happy to be here. We support them no matter what. I'm wearing a USA shirt today just as a sign of saying, you know, there's more important things to worry about than a football game. We have much more that unites us and divides us, so we're here to show our support.
And Scott, let me ask you, we're in front of the Ray Lewis statue. 73,000 people have signed a petition to remove that statue. Of course, Ray Lewis took 2 knees last week. What do you hope happens today?
I hope the Ravens stand today. I have no problem with them interlinking arms or even going down like the Cowboys did, take a kneel before the game. But while our national anthem's playing, they need to be on their feet with their hands across their heart, praying for this country and, you know, that we all get along. There's more important things going on in Baltimore that should be taking a knee for nowadays with the murder rate and everything. That I wish Ray Lewis would do something like that.
We'll see what happens. We don't know. And quickly, Hayden, let me ask you, who are you rooting for today?
Ravens.
Ravens? Will you be standing for the national anthem?
Yes.
All right, guys. Well, that's it here with the Ravens fans here, and we'll see what happens. A lot of activity. People are starting to come here. It's going to be an exciting day.
Griff, interesting to see fans wearing specifically USA gear
awesome.
when they would normally almost always be wearing team gear. Pretty cool.
All right, Griff, thank you. We're going to go to some headlines now. Check this out. This is unbelievable. Horror in the sky as a plane flies low to the ground during an emergency landing in Canada. That Air France jet's engine blowing up and disintegrating midair. You never want to be on a flight when that happens. Passengers describing the engine blowing up as, quote, a loud thud and a lot of vibration. The Air France jet flying from Paris to L.A. Fortunately, nobody was hurt. Listen to this. Police have a new way to spot MS-13 gang members, and it's not a face tattoo or anything like that. It's sneakers. They say one of the gang's top leaders was heard on a tapped prison phone telling members to ditch these blue and white Nikes. He said they're a dead giveaway to cops and gang rivals. Getting caught with them could mean a trip back to El Salvador. The gang, as you know, has become a prime target of the Trump administration. And I got nothing on this one. A Penn State professor calling on colleagues to undermine students' belief in the value of hard work because it is white ideology. Angela Putnam designated a 3-day seminar on white privilege to be held, then interviewed students, 12 of them in fact, on their belief in meritocracy and equal opportunity. In an academic article, she wrote students, quote, are socialized to believe that we got to where we are because of our own individual efforts. She now wants colleagues to stop, quote, perpetuating, reifying whiteness through intense re-education.
What's reifying? I mean, you use words you don't even know.
I don't know.
And to push concepts that make no sense. That's when you know academia's gone off the rails. It already has.
That and the cat in the hat story from yesterday.
That's
I mean, come on, guys.
All right, Rick, you're outside. You're not off the rails. You're always focused.
I'm not so focused right now because I'm distracted. I said on a scale from 1 to 10, how afraid are you right now?
3.
A 3?
Yeah.
Wow, and you actually pulled it on. You weren't even saying a word and you came out with that. I'm super impressed. Yes. He's prepared. Take a look at the weather maps. We'll just talk about fall. You know what? I haven't done this in a long time. We've been so serious for such a long time. We need a little bit of a break. This picture coming in from Cheryl in Telluride, Colorado. Look at this. Fall is there, as is winter up in the higher elevations. They're getting some more snow today. 45 degrees right before sunrise, getting to 55. Send me your fall pictures. We haven't had a chance to do this much, but you can send them to me, Rick Kmuth, on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or somewhere. Across the Northeast today, it's going to feel like fall, a beautiful day, tons of sunshine. Down across the Southeast, pretty good except for parts of North Florida, where we'll see some showers, and we have some rain moving in across parts of the northern plains. Some of that, maybe a few thunderstorms as well. All right, Abby, send it over to you.
Thank you, Rick. We're excited about this one. Today marks the start of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and one company is bringing attention to the women bravely fighting the disease by offering free haircuts to anyone willing to donate 8 or more inches of hair. Joining me now with all the details is a spokesperson for Pechanga Resort and Casino, Kira Green. Kira, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us here. It's a pleasure.
So, quickly, just the stats. 1 in 8 women will get breast cancer in their life.
In their lifetime, right. Those are stats from
American Cancer Society as well as from the CDC. They're very kind of alarming stats. Julia Louis-Dreyfus just came out and said she has breast cancer. She's fighting the disease. But we've got some wonderful women joining us today here.
We're surrounded by them.
Yes, we're surrounded by
women that are going through treatments now, the beautiful, and 3 women who are giving their hair to women with breast cancer. Are you guys ready to get your hair cut?
Yes. Let's do this. So basically, what happens?
Are you okay?
I'm set up with some scissors here. We'll get you set up, Abby.
Yes. And you've got some moral support with your adorable son Oliver and your husband behind you. Okay, so we're just going to cut right off the top.
Yeah. So every year, every October, what Pechanga Resort and Casino does is we have established a hair donation campaign. So we have everybody with long hair, men, women, or kids. That's quite all right. It gets evened out later on in the styling. But men, women, or kids with long hair, 8 inches or more to donate, can come into the spa. They donate their hair, and they get a free haircut and style out of it. So it's a really cool thing. And then all of that hair then goes to the American Cancer Society.
Are you doing okay?
She has such thick hair. It goes into the American Cancer Society.
I gave you some nice layers.
Oh, thank you. It's beautiful.
You have beautiful hair, by the way.
You.
And these two, mother and daughter.
There you go. What do you think?
They have never really cut their hair in their life other than 1 inch. So how are you feeling?
I'm going to cry.
You're going to cry? But it's all for such a good cause. And I want to get to these women over here because they are going to put on wigs. Rebecca and Michelle, I'm going to get my microphone for you. How much does this mean?
It means so much. First of all, I want to thank you, ladies. Really such a great offering to give to women like us who are going through breast cancer. Oh, it's very close.
I'm gonna work around you ladies like this.
Yes, we very much appreciate these ladies donating their hair. This is such an awesome cause and so very much needed for women that are going through this at this time. So yes, thank you very much.
And it's real hair. It's beautiful hair.
It's lovely.
And you were
really
saying how you realize how much hair keeps you warm.
It's cold
on days like today.
And yes, definitely hair keeps you very warm, and real hair keeps you very warm. And these were donated by real human women. And mine was given to me by Andrew DeSimone, and he cut and colored it for me. And
you want to put it on? I'd love to see it on you, ladies. And just quickly, where can people go if they want to donate their hair? And if you want to get a wig, you can get it for free some places, right?
You sure can. So if you're out in the Southern California area, we do encourage you to look us up at pechanga.com, or they can just come on into the spa. If you don't live in the Southern California area, you can have your hair cut and done yourself, or you can go into your local salon, have them cut it, and you can send it to the Pantene Beautiful Lengths program. You can also contact the American Cancer Society if you or someone you know is going through breast cancer and would like to receive a wig, and they are given free of charge to people going through breast cancer.
We'll make sure to have all of this on our website. You ladies look beautiful, and so do you over here. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this. I got to toss it into Todd, but I will stay out here and continue hanging out with you ladies. Todd, over to you.
All right, Abby, thanks. Fox News alert now. Terror in Canada overnight. A cop stabbed, people run over, and an ISIS flag found. A live report on the latest coming up next. Carnage on the streets of Canada overnight after the stabbing of a police officer and a high-speed chase that left several people injured. That attack now being investigated as an act of terror after police found an ISIS flag on the scene. Ellison Barber live for us in Washington, D.C. with the very latest. Ellison, good morning.
Good morning to you, Todd. That's right. Edmonton police say they found an ISIS flag in the front seat of a car allegedly used to attack one of their officers Saturday night. According to the police chief, the attack started outside of a Canadian football game. It was an Edmonton Eskimos game, and police say an officer was standing in front of a traffic barricade when a Chevy Malibu sped down the road, plowing into the cop and sending him flying into the air. The driver, police say, jumped out of the car with a knife.
A struggle then ensued, during which the male suspect stabbed the officer several times before fleeing the scene.
Police say they sent out an alert to other officers with the name of the person the Chevy Malibu is registered to. Later that night, officers working a traffic checkpoint reportedly stopped a U-Haul, checked the driver's ID, and one officer realized the name looked a lot like the one registered and tied to the attack outside of the football game.
The U-Haul truck immediately fled the scene and was pursued by police officers towards downtown Edmonton. Throughout the chase, the truck deliberately attempted to hit pedestrians in crosswalks.
The suspect hit at least 4 people. Police say the 2 attacks are related. They arrested the driver, a 30-year-old man, and opened a terror investigation. Right now, according to the police chief, they believe he acted alone, but at this point aren't ruling others out. The police officer stabbed is expected to survive. Todd, the condition of the injured pedestrians is unknown.
Ellison Barber, live from D.C. Keep us posted, Ellison. Thank you very much. Pete, over to you.
Thanks, Todd. Well, the ongoing crisis in Chicago. 17 people shot during another bloody weekend in Windy City, with 5 of those shootings turning deadly, including the murder of a pregnant woman. So what needs to be done to stop this bloodshed? Retired Chicago Police Sergeant Pete Kokonis is here to weigh in. Pete, thanks for being here this morning. We'll just lead with that question. The killings continue in Chicago. What isn't changing allowing this to happen?
We don't have enough police. We need more enforcement. What I believe now that I didn't believe last year, you need to bring the National Guard in. Trump promised that he'd bring in more people to help us. Put boots on the ground. Have every block that's got a serious crime problem, put 2 National Guard guys and 1 policeman. You can't overwork your police department when it's undermanned. You can't make these guys work 7 days a week, 30 days a month. We're just overwhelmed.
Pete, right now we have the mayor of San Juan wearing a T-shirt that says "Our people are dying." Why is Rahm Emanuel not standing up and saying our people are dying? Drugs and gangs have infected our communities. We need more cops. We need more help. Why is he focused elsewhere, say on issues like climate change, but not his own streets?
It's like sleight of hand. Talk about climate change. Talk about sanctuary cities. Talk about a $30 million golf course. Get an Obama library when the former president doesn't even live here and doesn't want to live here. He avoids everything except the bloodbath that's going on in the city. 541 murders so far this year. In Chicago, every 2 hours and 15 minutes, somebody's shot. Every 12 hours, somebody's murdered. In the last 2 weekends, we've had 2 pregnant women shot. One lost her baby. The other one, they've saved the baby so far.